YouTube? This is Dan with SC Bushcraft. I want to go ahead and film the second part of our mental aspect of survival and true preparedness series. I want to go ahead and talk about ideas. Good ideas, bad ideas, ideas that are in between. There's so many ideas, so many theories, so many techniques that are floating around thanks to the internet and you know, and a lot of the books that we read and things like that too. It's really important for us to test ideas and see if they work. And to take that another step further, it's important for us to see if they work for us to the level that we would want them to. You know, there's so many different extremes and so many different crowds, and it's just human nature to join a crowd because people like acceptance, people like to feel like they're part of something bigger than themselves, people like to be included in a group, and because of that, it's often the case that if everybody else in the crowd thinks all these things, then we feel like, well, you know, I can't disagree. There's a lot of ideas that I hear that honestly I just have tested and I disagree with them. Not just because I'm some obnoxious person that likes to be contradictory, but because the fact that either they don't work, they're iffy, or they're not right for me. And you know, we need to go through our mental kit. We've all got our kit. We've got our bag, we've got our cutting tool, we've got our water container, we've got whatever we use for a covering, we've got cordage, we've got, you know, I could go down the list. We've all got a kit. Probably everybody that's watching this video will have a kit. Well, we've all got a mental kit too, and that's a kit that's full of ideas and techniques. And you know, there's that group mentality that comes along, and that polarization where a lot of bad ideas slip through the cracks. And even if you're not polarized, you might not have the time to spend days and weeks out in the woods to test these ideas out and see how well they work, to test out this person or that person's methodology and see how well it works. And you know, a lot of the stuff, if you just thought about it for 5 or 10 minutes, you'd realize, hey, that's not going to work for me, or hey, that won't work at all. And you know, it's so easy to just think because someone's an expert that everything they say is golden. And you know, I don't have any heroes. All my heroes are dead, but there are men that I respect. I respect Dave Canterbury because he's a common sense guy. He knows what he's talking about, and he teaches the old ways. I respect Les Stroud because Les Stroud lives the life. He walks the walk, and he gives an honest presentation of what survival looks like. On YouTube, I respect Freddie, the Hobby XP channel. I respect Dave Wendell on the Bushcraft on Fire channel. And you know, I could go down and I could just make a big long list, but there's a lot of people I respect in the survival community, but they're not my heroes. And whenever I hear somebody say something, regardless of how high my regard is for that person, I still test that idea, because even if it's a great, valid, tested idea, it might not work for me. And I think that we all need to look at our situations. Do I live in the city? Do I live in a rural area? You know, if I live in a rural area, or in a city for that matter, what's the climate like? Is it 100 degrees in the summer and 60 degrees in the winter? If that's the case, I probably don't need a whole lot of winter clothing to survive in that environment. I probably need some cotton. Yeah, cotton does kill when you're in a frigid environment where hypothermia is a risk. When it's 110, 115 degrees outside, cotton's your best friend. Cotton will keep you cool. You know, do I live in the the high desert, the northern Great Plains, somewhere like that, where, for instance, in the high desert, it's going to be cold every night. I need a good blanket. And it's going to be hot every day. I need some warm weather clothing. I need, a lot more water carrying capacity. A 1-quart stainless water bottle isn't going to do it for me in the desert. I know that. I'm going to try to carry at least, if I have to sacrifice some other things, at least a gallon or 2 of water if I'm in the desert. Thankfully, I don't live in the desert because I choose not to live in the desert. But if I did, I'm going to really weigh that. That 1-quart water bottle probably isn't going to cut it for me there. If I'm in the northern Great Plains, where it's, a wind chill factor of 50 degrees below zero, there's blizzards, there's not a whole lot of firewood, things like that. Well, I wouldn't really, in the environment that I'm in, you can see I've got plenty of wood here. I would never carry a pocket stove with solid or liquid fuel because I just won't need it. Up there, you might need it. There's only so much heat you can get out of moist grass that you pulled from under the snow. And, you might walk 15 miles between tree lines. So, you might really be thankful for that sterno stove that allows you to boil some snow, to melt some snow and have some water to drink, or to cook that rabbit that you caught, or something like that. There's no one-size-fits-all approach, and we just have to always have that in mind, that we're talking about life or death, and we're talking about a very individualized topic depending on what region that we live in. And then I guess let's talk about ideas that are just bad. They're bad no matter who says it. It's a bad idea to eat tainted meat. If you find a carcass out in the wilderness somewhere like that, the guys that are on TV that eat off of that tainted carcass, if they get some sort of disease, if they get parasites, if they get worms, bacterial infection or something from that, they could be medevaced out to a hospital. At the end of that TV show they're filming, they can go and get a cycle of treatment for the worms that they got from eating that they didn't tell you about. You will not be that fortunate in a survival situation. So, don't eat tainted meat. Don't squeeze the water out of elephant dung and drink it, no matter how thirsty you are. The intestinal effects of that on you, and all of the vomiting that you do because of that, will be a whole lot worse than whatever dehydration that 1 cup of poop water temporarily eased. Friction fire. Do not rely on friction fire as your sole means of fire making. Anybody that has made a lifestyle of friction fire, the experts, I'm not one of those guys. I do it, I practice it, I'm not an expert. Any of those guys will tell you it's iffy at best. It is not reliable unless the conditions are perfect. Stick a ferro rod in your pocket. You can take a ferro rod anywhere. There's no law to regulate ferro rods that say, well, you can't carry one. They weigh an ounce. You can stick a 3/16 inch by 2 inch ferro rod in your wallet if you're a man, or in your purse if you're a woman, and you'll never know it's there until you need it. And you'll be thankful for it. Carry a Fresnel lens. Once again, you can buy a Fresnel lens, you can stick it in your wallet, and just forget about it. When you need it, it'll be there.